Now, it's my time, so I'm ready.
The first time I heard Drake was back in 2009 when he released his first hit, Best I Ever Had, accompanied by its hilarious music video. The first thing that hit me with Drake was his ability to be this really down-to-earth guy who thinks exactly like the people who are listening to him do. Lines like, "Sweatpants, hair tied, chilling with no makeup on, that's when you're the prettiest, I hope that you don't take it wrong," are very corny, but also very relatable and quotable. Drake's music has always had a way of connecting with his fans on a more personal level, but has he lost sight of his artistry in favor of chasing numbers and chart success? By the end of this video, I'll let you be the judge of that.
I love when people come up to me and say, man, I think like that all the time, I just never know how to say it. Or I've never heard someone say it in a song. I think about that all the time. That lets me know that I'm like really doing something right.
Drake's ability to connect with his fans and demonstrate vulnerability and that realness of himself is what won the listens from so many early on in his career. This style was definitely a trending wave around 2009-2010, as we also got artists like Kid Cudi doing something very similar with his Man on the Moon series that spoke to a whole generation of teenagers. And then Kanye around this time was fresh off his most vulnerable album to date, 808s and Heartbreak. With his buzz and fan adoration growing after releasing So Far Gone and Thank Me Later, Drake dropped Take Care, an atmospheric, slow-tempoed emotional offering that demonstrates his introspective and vulnerable writing abilities. When writing about Take Care, the Chicago Tribune said, "What's appealing is that he makes his rhymes sound conversational, matter of fact. Like he's talking to the listener one-on-one rather than making a statement about how hard it is to be me." Making his rhymes sound conversational, this is Drake's it factor. This is what separated his art from his contemporaries. His music, and specifically Take Care, connected with his fans because of its ability to be so conversational and relatable. In describing the focus he took with Take Care, Drake said this:
"Truly a story that I'm telling with music that isn't necessarily created to have chart positions or hit the radio. It's more just, I really needed to tell this story."
The charts were not the main focus for Drake, at least initially. Fast forward 4 years later to 2015, and the first dent in Drake's armor, or artistic career, would take place. After featuring on Meek Mill's single Rico from his forthcoming Dreams Worth More Than Money album, rumors speculated that Drake didn't write his own lyrics and instead had a ghostwriter by the name of Quentin Miller. These rumors actually came from Meek Mill himself, who tweeted out saying, "Don't compare me to Drake, he don't write his own raps." The evidence was pretty shocking after audio surfaced of Quentin Miller, Drake's alleged ghostwriter's reference track of Rico leaked online. Take a listen.
Oh, money, new women, gotta keep a balance. The girl of your dreams to me is probably not a challenge. I've been counting it out so many times I couldn't count it.
Although the evidence was clearly there, Drake actually walked away from this potentially huge hit on his career musically pretty much untouched. In the beef, he destroyed Meek Mill with Back to Back, where he clowned Meek with lines like, "Is that a world tour or your girl's tour?" Meek pretty much fumbled any opening at throwing a diss right back to Drake after his initial ghostwriting allegations. I see this point in time as the turning point where Drake decided to drop his artistic persona that he created and built up for himself over the years, and instead focus more on the business and playing the numbers game with charts. Deep down though, I think Drake always had this business mindset. Take this interview from 2013 for example.
What does money mean to you?
The idea of growth and business mindset too. 25 million at the time seemed crazy to me. Now I want to, for sure, obviously keep touring, keep making music, but now I see that there's other ways. I want to start a company. I want to do something that has maybe nothing to do with music.
I mean, the guy's smart. He knows how to make money, sell records, and was able to get a foot in the door initially by creating an artistic persona who connects to his fans and speaks to them through his music. But after seeing the success of hits like Hotline Bling, Drake began catering his music to the charts and numbers rather than the art itself. If anything, the Meek Mill beef showed Drake that even if his artistry has holes in it, he can still be successful money and numbers wise. In fact, of Drake's top 10 biggest singles, not one of them is from pre-2015, aka pre-Meek Mill beef. Of his top 20 biggest singles, there are only 3 pre-2015. Hold On We're Going Home from 2013, and then Take Care and Marvin's Room from 2011. We can clearly see the evidence of when Drake's mindset changed. Drake's release of More Life in 2017 was the pinnacle of this mindset change. Marketed as a playlist, More Life was so clearly catered toward this idea of hits over art.
Not an album, not a mixtape, it's a playlist.
Anthony Fantano actually described the project and Drake's whole approach to it perfectly here.
In a way, Drake, I think, is doing something really smart on More Life. A lot of listeners out there are looking more for a feeling than they are something concrete or engaging in their music. Something enjoyable, but disposable. And again, I think it's really smart. Drake is answering this silent demand for more passive music.
As of the last couple years, it seems like Drake has leaned even further into this whole numbers over artistry mindset. In the past 3 years, he's released 2 solo albums, 1 EP, and 1 collaborative project. With so much material released in such a short amount of time, one can view this in 2 ways. The first is,
damn, that Drake is a workaholic, grinding in and day out to give fans his music. He's the hardest working man in the industry.
Clearly, this is the optimistic view. The pessimistic one is,
Drake sold out. He doesn't give a shit about the art. He's just turning out music to get more plays. This is quantity over quality 100%.
Spotify CEO Daniel Ek got a ton of flack for an interview he did where, in describing the current landscape of music streaming, he said, some artists that used to do well in the past may not do well in this future landscape, where you can't record music once every 3 to 4 years and think that's going to be enough. The artists today that are making it realize that it's about creating a continuous engagement with their fans. The ones that aren't doing well in streaming are predominantly people who want to release music the way it used to be released. Daniel Ek said this a couple years ago, and actually the timeline of when he said it aligns perfectly to when Drake started releasing this huge influx of material. Maybe Daniel's quote struck a nerve in Drake to go even deeper into his numbers chasing ways. And don't get me wrong, Drake is great at it. In fact, he's killing it. I feel like every other month he's breaking some record. To date, he has the most Billboard top 10 singles with 67, Taylor Swift in second with 40. Has the most top 100 charted songs at 293, Taylor Swift in third with more than 100 less at 188 songs. So although he'll never admit it, what he's trying to achieve is actually working. He's ditched the artistry. No one's saying he's the most artistic, genre-bending, experimental, boundary-pushing artist. But what he does have instead are hits. But personally speaking, I feel like his material's gotten a bit stale since Scorpion. To me, it all sounds the same. He has perfected a formula that seems to keep working for him. But now when Drake drops a project, I'm not nearly as excited as when he first started out and he was pushing the boundaries of his art. For me, I'm much more invested in artists that do. The Kendrick Lamar's, Tyler the Creator's, Travis Scott's of the industry. And speaking of Kendrick Lamar, his line in The Heart Part 4 speaks volumes when he says,
a difference between accomplishments and astonishments.
Drake's going for accomplishments while these artists I mentioned are going for astonishments. So I ask you once more, has Drake lost his sight of his artistry in favor of chasing numbers and chart success?